Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of you here to the regular June meeting of the Historic Zoning Commission. Glad you all could be here. Glad all these members could be here. It's good to see some faces I hadn't seen in time too, probably because I wasn't here. I'll call the meeting to order. Would you do the roll call, please?
We don't do that.
You don't want to?
We don't do that anymore.
Okay. All right, then we do have a quorum, is that correct? All right. We have to approve the minutes of two meetings, one regular meeting and also a special meeting in May. So I will do this with two motions, if that's okay. First of all, the regular meeting on March 18th, 2014. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve those minutes.
Have a motion. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then for the special meeting that we had on May the 27th, 2014, does anyone have any questions or corrections that need to be made to those minutes?
I make a motion, we approve those minutes as well.
We have a motion.
Second.
Mr. Cantrell, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries. The third item on our agenda is the election of officers. And I'm not sure who's going to present the slate of candidates.
I'll take the lead on that, Mr. Chair. I'd like to nominate for Chair Gib Backlund and for Vice Chair Kirk Wade.
I second the motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Or further nominations?
Or further nominations?
Linda's
Oh.
not here.
All right. Then I ask for a motion to elect this slate as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. You want to take over at this meeting?
I'll wait a month.
Okay.
Get warmed up.
All right. The item of new business that we have today deals with a re-roofing project at 1107 East Main Street. Mr. Lewis, would you like to tell us about this?
Sure, Chairman Cross. The application we have today is 1107 East Main Street. It's Mr. Scott Dempsey. They're requesting approval to change the current asphalt shingles roofing to a metal roofing, which is going to include gutters and downspouts. The property is located on the north side of East Main Street, midway between Middle Tennessee Boulevard and Park Circle. The house is one story, and it was built around in 1930 in a bungalow style of architecture with a front porch, half timbering and gable, stone chimney, clapboard, and has a gable roof. The house is a contributing structure in the East Main Street Historic District of the National Register of Historic Places. What the property owners are doing, they're seeking approval for the installation of a metal roof with gutters and downspouts. The work was begun prior to submitting an application to the Historic Commission, and if there's a change in materials in the Historic Commission or in the Historic District, it requires submittal of application to the Commission for approval. The roof material that was removed was it was before this metal roof was an asphalt shingle roof, and the new roofing material is a standing seam metal roofing material. I included a brochure and photographs in your staff comments. I also have an example of the material. If anybody wants to see it, I'm pass it around. Be careful. One edge has it's a non-factory edge. It's kind of sharp. It's got tape on the other end of it. That's where you have to be careful. The applicants are in attendance at the meeting with the contractor. They'll be able to answer any questions you might have prior to y'all taking a vote. I submitted some additional photographs that was on the table before you, and I've got some in the on our monitor also, of some existing metal roofing on houses that are in the historic district. The house that's on the screen now, the house is the way it was before they changed the metal roof. This is the look of the house now with the metal roofing and the downspouts. This is the view from the west side of the house with the downspouts. It's the front view. This is a view of the east side, and the chimney of the house. I think it's been capped with is that copper? A copper covering. And there's a view of the downspouts. This is a picture of the brochure that I included in your package. In addition to the brochure, I'll see if I can get down to these additional photographs in a minute.
I think that's it.
Okay, this is a house that's on the corner of University and let's see, I think it's Lytle. And you can see it's got a metal roof. This is a corner on corner of College and Manny. This is I'm sure you call it metal, maybe a tin roof. This is, I think it's 1010 East Lytle Street. This also has a metal roof. Similar to that's on the house that we're talking about. This is a detached garage behind, it's on Park Circle. I think the owner is Matt Ward. This is similar material that we're talking about here. This is a house on Main Street, East Main Street. This is the Episcopal Church on East Main Street. This is another house on East Main Street next to Davis's Market. And this is just showing the little close-up view. This is the metal roof that was taken off the house on next to Davis's Market and replaced with the metal roofing that you had seen earlier. This right here. So that was earlier, and this is what's on there now. And that's an example of a metal roof. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Like I say, the applicants in the audience and the contractor also.
Okay. Any of the members have any questions about this application?
I would like to ask the Dempseys why we were not presented with the application prior to the change. Yes.
Realized that we needed to do that. We've been in our home for 16 years, and due to the weather being so rough, we needed to get a new roof, and we wanted to upgrade. And we had seen several, even one across from us, and several, and we did not realize that we had to present it before the Historic Commission. So that's why.
The reason it's sort of important, of course, as you can see, there's a number of metal roofs in the district, but it would give us an opportunity, since there's so many different kinds that would look more appropriate to the home or not appropriate to the home. It gives us a chance to give input before you actually do it, and so that's why it's so important to have it happen. And if you're changing the roof with similar materials, it's not an issue. You don't have to come before the board, but any change you do. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, I have a question along those same lines. Were you aware that you were in the historic district, or did you know what that meant, or have an idea?
Sorry. I'm a teacher. I'm used to throwing my voice very
Okay.
loud. I do know that I'm in a historic district. I didn't realize that particular thing had to be presented, simply because the roof was damaged. We were having internal problems in our home due to the damage, and we needed to have something that I felt comfortable that was going to be there for a long time and look amazing. And so we drove around and looked at all the different possibilities, my husband and I, and understood that this was a significant upgrade. And so we did that. Had I known, I would have brought it before the historic. I enjoy being in that district. Have been there 16 years. So.
Okay.
And her contractor, which happens to be her dad, asked her, and she had put a roof on in 2006, but had replaced it with the same thing. And so
I had replaced it, and so I didn't have to do anything with
So,
that. So I trust,
apologize.
yes, I trusted his judgment as to not give me a poor quality roof, but to give me an excellent roof. But that's the only reason.
Okay. I wonder, Robert, or if it might be possible for us to send a mailing to each address in the historic district, just as a reminder to them that they are in the historic district and what benefits that entails. You know, being in the historic district oftentimes increases property values. There are aesthetic values that accrue to being in a historic district, and maybe just a reminder to folks that they are in the district, and that for certain activities we do need to look at the actions.
Sure.
Is it possible for us to do that?
Sure. We routinely get property transfers.
Yeah.
When we see new names on the property transfer
Yeah.
list, we'll send them a packet. But
Yeah.
we haven't sent out anything in quite a while. But
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't hurt to send anything.
I'm just thinking a simple
to the property
one-page brochure saying,
Yeah.
welcome to the historic district, just because lots of people have been here for a long time and really probably don't remember or never knew that,
Yeah.
the value of being in a historic district.
the historic district is beautiful, if I might say. And one thing Beth and Scott wanted to do is they had an insurance claim, they had a leak, it came inside the house. They're spending 35% more than their insurance claim paid them to do this upgrade with rounded gutters and the standing seam. This is Bubba Spurlock, who works for me, but this is a different kind of roof than most of those you saw. Why don't you tell them about this, just so we'll let you know.
Sure. Some of the roofs, the metal roofs that Robert had shown in the district there, and you all are, I'm sure, familiar with, is more of a corrugated style of metal, where this is a true standing seam and without the heavy ribs, but it does have the striations in it. So it's what we would consider more of a premium panel as far as metal roofing goes, and it has the lower or shorter stand-in seam. It's a 1-inch reveal on that, which it has more of a residential feel, in our opinion. So they did use the top-notch materials on here. And then with the gutter, there were no gutters and downspouts previous to this these changes. However, they did opt to go with the half-round gutters and the round downspouts, as you probably noticed there, which again, in most cases, would be considered an upgrade. So, any other questions as far as the
Well, I'd like to go back to addressing the owner more. I think this is an opportunity. Unfortunately, you're in the hot seat. But for all the audience out there listening, when you change a material, that's when it gets flagged, and that's when it comes before us. It's always best if you're in the district, and I'm sorry to begin to put you in this position, but when you're doing any kind of work, it's always best just to call Robert up. So this is the scope of work that we intend to do, and is there an issue, and do we need to bring this before the commission? So the easy thing, we don't address paint, we don't address landscaping, but when you change a material from one to another type, that's when it flags it, and that's when we want it to go by us. I would say, as far as the metal roof that was selected, I think the striations actually detract from it. I think it may be a premium product, maybe a premium price because of it, but it's not the traditional standing seam metal roof. It would have a flat panel between the standing seams. Further, the end closures where you have the large battens, that's not a standard feature. That's very unusual. In fact, I think it detracts from the design. I would also, is this a painted metal roof, a pre-finished metal roof, or is it Galvalume, or what is it?
It's a pre-finished, yes.
I would add that the copper flashing around the chimney at the top and the bottom, as long as there's no scratches in that paint, you should have no galvanic reaction. But if it gets scratched, it's going to start a chain reaction depending on which of the materials is the least noble or the more noble of the materials, and it will start to corrode. Now, it's not the same as steel, of course, against aluminum, but you are going to eventually have a reaction.
We did put a barrier between.
There is a
those two,
barrier.
yes.
That will go a very long
aware
way.
of that,
Yeah.
process.
But I would add that, this style of house typically to me is always asphalt shingle because of its age, or it might even be a wood shingle, but rarely have I ever seen it in metal. I understand you wanted to invest in your house, and probably with the hailstorms that we have, that it's something that won't get as damaged. But I would like to encourage the people out in the audience that this sort of striated panel between the ribs is not something that's appropriate for this style of building, or in fact anywhere in the district, because it's not a typical standing seam roof. Nor is the 5V metal roof, which has the two V's that you overlap and then the one in the middle. That is in fact like a barn roof. And so I look very carefully at these kinds of things, because when you invest in it, I want to make sure that it's the right. If you're going to do a metal roof, that you do the right one. And I think this one, frankly, is not aesthetically correct for the district or for this style of house.
Mr. Becker, I think that would be an excellent idea, what you had mentioned earlier about sending out information, or maybe it was Mr. Backlund, but sending out information that would allow a homeowner to know that. That would be fantastic.
I agree. Maybe at the next meeting, we could look at a sample brochure. Does the city have one, and look at it, and then decide on if everything's still current in it. Maybe mail it to each resident, each address.
Yeah.
We may not be able to hit every landowner. Maybe you can. I don't know what the.
Well, and Mr. Thomas just really answered my question. Mr. Thompson did, because I will have to paint it soon, within the next 10 years or so. And I was thinking, I need to fill out whatever application, and then you made me aware of that. So I do think that might be a wonderful thing for that. What is it, 185 structures or that are included in the historic?
Yeah.
My question is, how far along is the installation? Is it
It's completed.
100%? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the application submitted.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
No.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank-
All right. Do we have any staff reports?
No, I do not.
Or other business?
No, thank you. I don't have any more.
Nothing here?
All right. Without objection, we'll stand adjourned.